The gym door slammed shut, the sound echoing like a gunshot in my chest. I was alone, or so I thought, until I heard his voice, low and deliberate, calling my name. My pulse raced, not from the workout, but from the weight of what I'd been hiding for months. I'm Ethan, 24, a graphic designer by day and a gym rat by night, chasing the kind of strength that could quiet the chaos in my head. Growing up in small-town Ohio, I'd learned to keep my secrets close, especially the one about who I really loved. But here in Chicago, in this gritty gym with its chipped paint and rusted dumbbells, I thought I could finally breathe. That was until I met Coach Ryan. Ryan was 29, all lean muscle and quiet intensity, with eyes that seemed to see right through me. He wasn't just a trainer, he was the kind of guy who could command a room with a glance. White like me, with a jawline sharp enough to cut glass and a smile that made my knees weak. He'd been hired 6 months ago, and from day one, I couldn't stop watching him. The way he moved, the way he corrected my form with a gentle touch, the way he'd linger just a second too long when our eyes met. It was dangerous. I told myself it was nothing, just a crush I'd bury under sweat and reps. That night, the gym was nearly empty, the usual clatter of weights replaced by a heavy silence. I was finishing my last set when Ryan approached, his usual confidence replaced by something else, something raw. "Ethan, stay back a minute," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. I nodded, my throat dry, and followed him to the back office. A cramped room filled with protein shake cans and old schedules pinned to the wall. The door clicked shut behind us, and then, to my shock, he turned the lock. "What's this about?" I asked, my voice cracking. My heart was a drumbeat in my ears. Ryan stepped closer, his breath warm against my skin, and said, "I can't keep pretending I don't see you." The air between us crackled, electric and terrifying. I'd spent years hiding who I was, dodging questions from my family, my friends, even myself. In Ohio, being gay wasn't just a secret. It was a sin, whispered about in church pews and judged in every glance. I'd moved to Chicago to escape that, to find a place where I could be free. But freedom felt like a myth when Ryan's eyes pinned me in place. He was my coach, my mentor, the one person I trusted to push me past my limits. But this was a line we couldn't cross, not without consequences. "I see you too," I admitted, the words spilling out before I could stop them. His face softened, and for a moment, I thought he'd kiss me. Instead, he stepped back, running a hand through his dark hair. "This is wrong," he said, but his voice trembled, betraying him. "You're my client. I could lose everything." "Then why lock the door?" I challenged, my voice bolder than I felt. He didn't answer, but the silence spoke louder than words. We stood there, inches apart, the weight of our unspoken desires pulling us closer. I wanted to reach for him, to close the gap, but fear held me back. What if this was a mistake? What if he was testing me, or worse, what if he wasn't? The gym's fluorescent lights flickered, casting shadows on the walls. Outside, the city hummed, oblivious to the storm brewing in this tiny room. I thought of my parents, their disappointment if they ever found out. I thought of the gym, the only place I felt strong, and how this could ruin it all. But most of all, I thought of Ryan, his strength, his vulnerability, the way he made me feel alive in a way I'd never known. "I'm not ready," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. Ryan nodded, his jaw tight, but his eyes were soft, understanding. He unlocked the door, but before I could leave, he grabbed my wrist, his touch searing. "This isn't over," he said, and those words burned into me, a promise and a threat. I walked out into the cold Chicago night, my breath visible in the air, my heart a tangled mess. I didn't know what would happen next, but one thing was clear. Ryan had unlocked something in me, something I couldn't lock away again. The next morning, I woke with Ryan's words echoing in my head. This isn't over. My apartment, a cramped studio in Wicker Park, felt smaller than ever, the walls closing in as I replayed last night. I wanted to run back to the gym, to see him, to demand answers. But fear kept me glued to my bed. Work was a blur. I stared at my computer screen, designing logos for a client I didn't care about, while my mind was back in that locked office. By 6 p.m., I was at the gym again, my body moving on autopilot. Ryan was there, coaching a group class, his voice steady but his eyes darting to me every chance he got. I tried to focus on my deadlifts, but my hands shook, not from the weight but from the weight of his gaze. After the class cleared out, he approached me, casual but deliberate. "You okay?" he asked, his tone neutral, like we hadn't almost crossed a line. I nodded, but my chest ached with everything I couldn't say. "Meet me after," he said, low enough that no one else could hear. I didn't trust myself to speak, so I just nodded again. This time, we didn't go to the office. He led me to the rooftop, a place I didn't even know existed, accessed through a rusty fire escape. Chicago's skyline glittered below us, the wind biting at my skin. Ryan leaned against the railing, his silhouette sharp against the city lights. "I owe you an apology," he said, his voice heavy. "Last night was reckless." "Then why do it?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. He turned to me, his eyes searching mine. "Because I'm tired of hiding," he said. "I've been hiding my whole life, Ethan. From my family, my friends, everyone. I thought moving here would change that, but it's just a different kind of cage." His words hit me like a punch. I knew that cage too well, the fear of being seen, of being judged. I wanted to tell him I understood, but instead, I said, "You could lose your job. I could lose everything." My voice cracked, betraying the panic I'd been fighting all day. "I know," he said, stepping closer. "But when I'm with you, I don't care about the risks." His hand brushed mine, a fleeting touch that sent my heart racing. I pulled away, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. "We can't," I said, but even as I said it, I didn't believe it. The next few weeks were torture. We danced around each other, our workouts charged with unspoken tension. Every touch, every glance, felt like a spark waiting to ignite. The gym became our battleground, a place where we fought our feelings with every rep, every set. But the more we resisted, the stronger the pull became. One night, after everyone else had left, Ryan asked me to spot him on a heavy bench press. His hands gripped the bar, his muscles straining, and I stood above him, my heart pounding. When he finished, he sat up, his face inches from mine. "I can't do this anymore," he said, his voice raw. Before I could respond, he leaned in and kissed me. It was everything I'd feared and wanted, electric, consuming, terrifying. For a moment, the world disappeared, and it was just us, two people who'd found each other in a city of millions. But then reality crashed back. I pulled away, my breath ragged. "What are we doing, Ryan?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I don't know," he admitted, his eyes haunted. "But I can't stop." Neither could I. We started meeting in secret, late-night talks on the rooftop, stolen moments in the locker room. Each time, I told myself it was the last, but it never was. I was falling for him, hard and fast, and it scared me to death. I'd spent my life building walls, and Ryan was tearing them down with every look, every touch. But secrets don't stay secret forever. One night, as we sat on the rooftop, wrapped in each other's arms, I saw a shadow move near the fire escape. Someone was watching. The shadow vanished before I could make sense of it, but the chill it left behind lingered. Ryan didn't notice, his head resting against my shoulder, his breath warm against my neck. Ryan pulled back, his brow furrowed. "What's wrong?" he asked. I told him about the shadow, and his face hardened. "Probably just a maintenance guy," he said, but his tone lacked conviction. We left the rooftop separately, my heart pounding with every step. The next day, the gym felt different. The other trainers were quieter, their glances sharper. I caught Mike, the gym manager, watching me from across the room, his expression unreadable. Ryan acted normal, coaching me through squats with his usual precision, but his eyes were guarded. I wanted to ask him if he'd noticed anything, but the gym was too crowded, too many ears listening. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. "I know about you and Ryan. Meet me at the gym at midnight or everyone else will too." My stomach dropped. I showed Ryan the text, and his face went pale. "Don't go," he said, his voice urgent. "It's a trap." But I couldn't let it go. If someone knew, they could destroy us. Ryan's job, my reputation, everything we'd built. I told him I had to face it, and though he argued, he finally relented. "I'm coming with you," he said, his jaw set. At midnight, the gym was a ghost town. The only sound the hum of the air conditioner. We entered through the back door, our footsteps echoing in the dark. The office light was on, and there, sitting at the desk, was Mike. He looked up, his face a mix of anger and disappointment. "I trusted you, Ryan," he said, his voice low. "And you, Ethan? You're better than this." My heart sank. Mike held up his phone, showing a blurry photo of us on the rooftop, our arms around each other. "This ends now," he said. "Ryan, you're fired. Ethan, you're banned from the gym." I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. Ryan stepped forward, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "Mike, please, this isn't just about us. It's about who we are." Mike's face softened for a moment, but then he shook his head. "I don't care who you love, Ryan, but you broke the rules. You put the gym at risk." He stood, his decision final. "Get out." We left in silence, the weight of his words crushing us. Outside, Ryan grabbed my hand, his grip tight. "I'm not sorry," he said, his eyes fierce. "I'd do it all again for you." But I was breaking inside. The gym was my sanctuary, the one place I felt strong. And Ryan, he'd lost his livelihood, his passion, all because of me. I pulled my hand away, my voice shaking. "We should have stopped," I said. "This was a mistake." Ryan's face fell, but he didn't argue. We parted ways that night, the distance between us growing with every step. For days, I avoided him, drowning in guilt and fear. I stopped going to the gym, stopped answering his texts. But the silence only made it worse. I missed him, his voice, his touch, the way he made me feel like I could be myself. Then came the call that changed everything. It was Mike, his voice softer than before. "Ethan, we need to talk," he said. "Come to the gym tomorrow." Alone. I went, my heart in my throat. Mike was waiting in the office, the same room where this all began. He looked tired, his eyes heavy with something unspoken. "I was wrong," he said, his voice low. "I let my own biases get in the way. Ryan's a good coach and you're a good guy. I'm giving you both a second chance." Couldn't believe it. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Because I've seen what hiding does to people," Mike said. "My brother, he was like you. He never got to live his truth. I don't want that for you." Tears stung my eyes. I thanked him, my voice choked, and left the gym with a flicker of hope. But could Ryan forgive me for pushing him away? I found Ryan at his apartment, a small place in Logan Square cluttered with gym gear and books on fitness. He opened the door, his face a mix of surprise and wariness. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice guarded. I took a deep breath, the weight of my guilt heavy in my chest. "Mike's giving us another chance," I said. "He wants you back at the gym. And me too." Ryan's eyes widened, but he didn't speak, so I pressed on. "I'm sorry, Ryan. I pushed you away because I was scared. I thought I was protecting you, but I was just protecting myself." He stepped closer, his expression softening. "You think I wasn't scared too?" he said. "I've lost jobs before, Ethan. I've lost friends, family. But losing you? That's what terrified me." His words broke something in me, and before I could stop myself, I kissed him. It was different this time. Fiercer, more desperate, like we were making up for lost time. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine, his breath ragged. "We're in this together," he said. "No more running." We returned to the gym the next day side by side, our heads held high. Mike greeted us with a nod, and though some trainers still whispered, others clapped Ryan on the back, welcoming him back. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. For the first time, I felt like I belonged, not just in the gym but in my own skin. But the world outside wasn't as forgiving. Word of our relationship spread, and soon, my phone was buzzing with messages from old friends in Ohio, their words dripping with judgment. My parents called, their voices heavy with disappointment. "We raised you better than this," my dad said, and I felt like I was 16 again, hiding in my room, afraid to be seen. Ryan faced his own battles. His landlord, a conservative type, started making noise about morality clauses in his lease. We were fighting a war on two fronts, against the world and against our own doubts. But every night, when we lay together, his arms around me, I felt a strength I'd never known. We were building something real, something worth fighting for. One evening, as we walked through Millennium Park, the city alive around us, Ryan stopped under the glow of a street lamp. "I love you," he said, his voice steady, unapologetic. My heart stopped. I'd never heard those words before, not like this. "I love you too," I said, and for the first time, I meant it without fear. But the peace didn't last. A week later, we found a letter taped to the gym door, anonymous and vicious, calling us names I won't repeat. Ryan's face went pale, but he tore it down, his hands shaking. "They don't get to win," he said, but his voice cracked. I wanted to believe him, but the hate was wearing us down. We decided to fight back, not with fists, but with truth. Ryan organized a community event at the gym, a fundraiser for an LGBTQ youth center. We invited everyone, trainers, clients, even the haters. I was terrified, but Ryan was a force, his passion infectious. The night of the event, the gym was packed, the air buzzing with energy. Mike spoke first, sharing his brother's story, his voice breaking as he talked about love and loss. Then Ryan took the mic, his hand in mine, and told our story, raw, honest, unashamed. The crowd was quiet at first, then erupted in applause. Strangers hugged us, shared their own stories, their own struggles. For the first time, I felt like we weren't alone. The haters were there too, lurking in the corners, but their voices were drowned out by the love in that room. As the night ended, Ryan pulled me close, his lips brushing my ear. "We're stronger than they are," he whispered, and in that moment I believed him. The fundraiser changed everything. The gym became a haven, not just for us, but for others who'd felt unwelcome. Ryan and I grew closer, our love a quiet rebellion against the hate that still lingered. But the real test came months later, when my parents showed up unannounced. They stood in my apartment, their faces tight with unease. My mom's eyes darted to the photo of Ryan and me on my desk, taken at the fundraiser, our smiles wide and unguarded. "We need to talk," my dad said, his voice sewer. I braced myself, expecting the worst. But Ryan, who'd insisted on being there, took my hand under the table, his presence steadying me. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Ethan's a good man. He deserves to be happy." My dad's face reddened, but my mom spoke first, her voice soft. "We just want to understand," she said. It's hard for us." I took a deep breath, my heart pounding. "I love him," I said, the words steady despite the lump in my throat. "And I'm not ashamed of who I am." The silence was deafening. Then my mom started to cry, and to my shock, she hugged me. "We don't want to lose you," she whispered. My dad didn't speak, but he didn't leave either. It wasn't acceptance, not yet, but it was a start. They left after an hour, promising to call. Ryan held me as I cried, not out of sadness, but relief. For the first time, I felt like I could breathe. Life wasn't perfect after that. Hate mail still came and some clients left the gym. But Ryan and I built something stronger than hate. A community, a home. We moved in together. A small apartment filled with laughter and love. The gym became a place of acceptance, a beacon for others like us. Years later, I still think about that locked office, the moment that changed everything. Ryan's touch, his words, his courage. They haunt me, not with pain, but with gratitude. We faced a world that tried to tear us apart, and we came out stronger, together. The gym is still there, its walls now covered with photos of us, our clients, our family. Every time I walk through those doors, I'm reminded of what we fought for. Not just love, but the right to live our truth. And every time Ryan smiles at me, I know it was worth it.